everybody and welcome. I am so glad that you're here. Today's gonna be a really awesome video because we get to share a lot of information of our fig tree. We love figs. So before we start, we need to know our garden zone. We are in the garden zone 7. Garden zone 7, we are in Maryland, USA. So we are in the garden zone 7. Fig trees, there's hundreds of fig species, hundreds of them, and the majority of them like to be grown in a garden zone that's going to be from garden zone 8 to garden zone 10 or 11. So it's going to be more for a more hot environment, but there's certain species that are cold hardy. And this is where it comes then to know your garden zone, because we are in the garden zone 7 and I couldn't grow any of those other species that are more for the tropical environment. But there's certain cold hardy figs like the beautiful brown turkey fig. So we're growing in here the brown turkey fig. The brown turkey fig can survive in environments as cold as a garden zone 6 and then all the way to garden zone 9. And I'm gonna try to also propagate it and grow it in Puerto Rico, which is gonna be the garden zone 10 and 11. So I'll let you know in the future how it goes with that. I know that they also have the little bit more hardy, cold hardy figs like the Chicago fig that can actually survive also really cold environment. And then also you need to check where is that you're gonna be planting then your fig. So when we move in here, we didn't know where was the wind coming, but we have an awesome neighbors in the back that also grow fruits and vegetables, and they told us, hey Yali, the majority of the wind actually blows the most then from the west side. So we're like, okay, so we know that we're not gonna be planting then the fig in the west side, which was over here, because we know that there's going to be a lot of stress coming into the fig tree and it might not actually survive, especially during the winter months. Because even though that it says, hey, it can survive in a garden zone 6 and this is the garden zone 7, when it gets cold and there's a lot of wind, it's a lot of winter damage. So you want to protect your fig tree as much as possible. And so in order for you to know where the west comes and where the east is and where the south is and where the north is, I'm going to give you again a garden trick, which I have shown you this in multiple videos, but here it goes back again. So pay attention to this. I learned this from my grandfather. First, you know that the sun rises from the east. So when we move in here, we notice that the sun rises from this side. So this will be then my east. So the sun rises then from the east. And then the sun, it sets, it's a sunset, it's going to be then from the west. And I noticed that the sun sets from that side, which is going to be then the west. So I know that this is going to be my east and this is going to be then my west. So east and west. And then once you have figured out that that's going to be then your east, you are going to be facing your body towards then the east. And once your body is facing the east, you extend then your left hand. And when you extend your left hand, then that will be then your north. And then you extend then your right hand, and your right hand will tell you that that is your south. Wherever the south is, that will be then your south facing garden where you get the most sunlight. You always get the most sunlight from the south. So when we moved in here, we definitely wanted to have then there's a little fly over there. We definitely wanted to have then the fig tree facing the south, because in the south is where you get the most sunlight. In the garden, the figs needs to have at least 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. So we wanted to have a good amount of sunlight from the south facing. So you will see that the majority of our garden, all of our fruit trees are in the south garden, thank God. And that's one of the things that we were looking when we were buying a house, to have then a good south facing garden. And this has a beautiful amount of the garden in the south facing, so we get a lot of sunlight. So this fig over here, because it's getting all that sunlight from the south, gets a lot of good nutrition over there from the sun. And then as we mentioned, because the sunset sets in the west, so I'm protecting, because we notice, and the neighbor told us, the winds comes the most then from the west. And you can see that there's here the house right next to us. So then the barrier for the winds and breaking all those winds is the house. So we planted this strategically, this fig tree over here, because we really wanted to protect them from the west winds and we really wanted to also have then a lot of sunlight then from the south. So, and it has been so happy and doing so well. And this is one of the things that you definitely need to check when you're going to be planting then your fig tree. First, what garden zone you are, so you can select then the species of then the fig tree that you want, because there's hundreds of different species of fig tree. And then also where in the, what location in the garden you're going to be planting it in, because you want to have then those 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. So south facing will be the best, but also protected them from the winds. From our side, the winds come the most, then more heavy than from that west side. So first establish then, before even going into planting it, where is it that you can get a lot of that wind damage. Okay, after that, as I mentioned, this is going to be the brown turkey fig. And the brown turkey fig, another cool thing about it is that it's parthenocarpic. Many plants are parthenocarpic, so it's not only their fig tree. Parthenocarpic means that it doesn't need to be pollinated, fertilized in order for it to give you then fruits. So it's just so amazing, because many of the species of figs, they need to have this fig wasp, which the cycle of the fig wasp is like sci-fi movie. It's like a crazy sci-fi movie. So many of the fig trees, they need, in order for it to be fertilized and give you then an actual fruit, they need to be fertilized by this fig wasp. And the fig wasp, the cycle, what it does is you have then this fig wasp, female wasp, that's gonna be pollinating then the different figs. She finally goes into one of the figs, dies in there, but in the process she then actually then has all her babies. So she has lots of tiny little babies of fig wasps, and it's gonna be then, some of them are gonna be males, some of them are gonna be then females. The male hatches out, and he looks then for a female egg that hasn't hatched yet. And he fertilizes then that female, and then in the process, while the female is still being, you know, formed and she hasn't hatched yet, he's gonna be working, creating tunnels, and in order for then the female to actually then get out of there. He actually dies, the male fig dies in the process. So his whole being of being there is just to actually fertilize the female, help them to make the tunnels for the female to get out of the fig tree, the fig fruit itself. And then he dies in the process. It's crazy, I'm telling you, it's a novella. And then the female actually hatches out, and she has already the tunnels for her to actually get out. She actually has wings, so she can actually then get out. That's another fun fact. The male doesn't have no wings, so the whole process, he was just created then to actually make the tunnels. He's gonna die there. And so she comes out, and then she flies out, where she has a lot of then in her wings, she has a lot of then the pollen that she acquired in the whole process. And then she goes into different figs, and she pollinates all the different figs, and now we got fruits of figs. And then she finally finds another fig that I think they call it the Capri fig, and that's where she's gonna be laying a lot of her eggs, and the whole cycle repeats. I'm telling you, it's a novella. It's crazy, it's amazing. But in our case, we don't have that cycle because we have a parthenocarpic fig tree, so it does not need to be fertilized. It could be fertilized. I always like to think that I have some wasp figs on here that are giving me, because majority of the figs that are fertilized, they're more juicy, more bigger, and more pinkish in the inside. Lots of really good sugar, right? So, but our figs, I'm telling you, they're fantastic. But they don't need to be fertilized, and they just give us lots and lots of figs. Many people say that they get at least twice figs, so twice a year figs. In our case, we have a whole season of figs. So it usually starts at the mid-August. So you know, I would say late summer, that we had then a lot of the figs, and then still at the beginning then of autumn. So we're now at the end of September, and we're still getting figs. So August, September, October, also a little bit at the beginning of October, we still have figs. So all of that, those months, we just get lots of figs. And once they start getting mature, you immediately have to get the fig. So you don't get the figs. Another thing, like for example the pears or the also the apricot, the peaches, that you can actually collect them even though they're not fully mature from the tree, and they will get, you know, they start maturing then outside after picking it up. The fig does not do that. So your fig, you have to wait for it to actually be fully mature before you actually harvest it, because if you harvest it and it's still then yellow, it's still then still green, it's still hard, it's not gonna be maturing after picking it. So you have to leave it on the tree until it's fully then the consistency that you want, that it should be for the brown turkey fig. It will start getting then the outside a little bit of brownish color. And then when you actually touch it, it's gonna be a little bit of soft. Then that tells you that it's actually, you know, ready to pick. Let me see, like for example, in here, this is how it starts. So you see that it's gonna be then very green, really hard, very hard consistency. This is not ready to pick. Do not pick it when it's like that, because it's not gonna be maturing after being harvested. Then it's gonna be getting then a little bit more of like the brownish color again, because this is the brown turkey fig. Not all of them do that. So it's gonna start getting that yellowish color, a little bit of that brown pigmentation, but it's not ready. When I actually touch it, it's still hard, so it's not ready to pick. Do not pick that. This one over here is almost ready, so I'm gonna go get it, because it feels soft. So this is more or less the consistency that we want. So it's getting already then that brownish color. And so you can just literally just press on it a little bit, and you will see that it opens, and it's so delicious. The inside, look at that pinkish color. And in fact, the actual fig tree, the fig itself, is actually a flower that it never bloomed. So all of those are little flowers inside. How cute. It's beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. Another cool thing about the fig tree is that it has a lot of history, and the nutritional value of it is amazing. I mean, this tastes so sugary. And I always say, where's that? I always say that if you haven't had the fig before, which in Spanish is higo, then you can think about having a guava. So if you have those big guavas, the guavas that are like soft in the inside, also in the outside, they're very similar to consistency. So the consistency is very similar to a guava fruit. So if you have had a guava fruit like guayaba in Puerto Rico, so it tastes very similar to the guayaba without those very hard seeds in the center. So it's very soft in the inside, very good. And it's really soft in the inside, nothing hard in the inside. And again, it's very sugary, but it's not super sugary that overpowers. So it's just amazing. I love the fig. It's wonderful. We do a lot of jams. We do a lot of them. You know, you just eat it by itself. We eat it then in pastries. We eat it then in salads. We give a lot of figs away. We have been giving so many figs this year. We had hundreds and hundreds of figs. We definitely need to invest in drying figs. So we would like to buy a machine for drying fruits, because we're getting, thanks be to God, lots of then fruits this year. And so we would definitely like to start drying up lots of the figs. But right now we have lots of figs frozen in our freezer. And we also make lots of limbers, which is like this Italian ice. I definitely need to show you all of these recipes, but I'm tweaking them a lot. So you know me, I have a playlist for recipes, so you can check it out if you like. But I like to give you guys the recipes when I love them, like they're amazing and they're very easy to recreate. So I'm gonna definitely share with you guys lots of recipes for figs, because again, we get hundreds of figs. So I have been doing lots of recipes with the figs and eating lots of figs. The figs also has been linked with a lot in the Bible. So I believe that it's actually mentions the fig tree in the Bible 44 times. I read that somewhere. But it's actually starts from all the way from the Genesis book, like at the beginning of times, at the beginning of creation, you know. Once you have Adam and Eve, when God is talking to them and they ate the forbidden, you know, fruit, and then they said that when they discovered that they were naked, they actually covered themselves with fig leaves, So in the Garden of Eden, at the beginning of times, It was actually the fig tree over there. So that's why many people suspect and think that the forbidden tree was actually then the fig tree, the tree of wisdom. But we never know, right? But there's many parables in the Bible about then the fig tree, when God itself, Jesus was in the New Testament and he cursed then the fig tree because it didn't actually give you then fruits. And then he gives you another parable how then the owner of this farm is like, hey, this tree hasn't given me any fruit, so I'm gonna just cut it. And he's like, no, give it another year, I'm gonna fertilize it, I'm gonna actually give treat it better so that I can actually give me more fruit. So again, all the parables, and I'm not gonna go into then dissecting the parables because this is more for the understanding of everybody, right? But it's a lot of amazing stuff. And even in the book of Revelations, at the end, all the way already at the end of the Bible, brings back again when we're talking about the end of times, how then the stars are going to be falling like the leaves that it falls from a fig tree. And it's just so amazing how many stories are linked to the fig tree. So the fig tree, it gives you a lot of history. It has been around for thousands of years. And this is something that is more for like the Mediterranean environment. But again, we are so lucky if you live in an environment like us that you need to look for perennial plants. And if you want to look for perennial plants and you are in a garden zone 7, you are in the right spot, because we like to organize everything in here by playlists. And we have a playlist already then for plants. And then we have a playlist also then for the garden, and you can see how the garden has been evolving. And everything in this garden, the majority of it is perennial plants. So perennials are plants that you just plant them one time, you don't have to worry about it, because they survive then this environment. They're gonna thrive in this environment. Again, the garden zone 7, so they're gonna be cold hardy. And the majority of our plants in here are cold hardy. Well, let me finish this. This is so good. Okay. So people always ask me, when should I prune my tree? That's a commonly asked question. And you will see that many places tell you, hey, prune your tree or your plants in autumn, or prune them then in winter. But Yali over here says, no, don't do that. I actually plant my, prune my plants, the majority of them, especially fruit trees, during spring. I like to prune it in spring because I like to listen to the plant. This plant, it's gonna be then during the winter, you will see that all the leaves are gonna be falling. They're deciduous perennial. So all of the leaves fall down. It looks naked, the tree. It looks like it's died, but it has not died. It's just dormant. It's taking all of the storage of all of the sugar and all of the starch and all of the proteins are going now into reserve until it comes back again then in spring. In spring, when it comes back again alive, then you will see that the branches that once they look like they were completely dead, getting more blackish, more dry, more brittle, then they're gonna start having the little tiny buds of new leaves. And that tells you, hey, those branches are not dead. Those branches are actually alive. They're giving me new leaves. There are gonna be new fruits coming then from those branches. Let me not touch them. But then you will start seeing that while the tree itself, the whole tree, is giving you the new leaves and fruits, then you will see that you have then some of the branches that did not actually give you new leaves. They're gonna stay dormant, they're gonna stay black, they're gonna stay brittle. So those are the branches that you're gonna be cutting. So I cut back my tree only in spring. In spring is when I cut it back, because again, you will see that it looks like it's completely dead, that you have lost your tree. And it's not, it's not. It's actually just dormant. And then on spring is when you're going to be noticing which of the branches actually died and which of the branches actually survive. That's when you should be pruning then your tree, if you want to let it grow. You can of course prune it to whatever size you want. If you want to just prune it and just keep it always then to your level, 5 feet, so give it to your level, then do that. This tree can grow then to 10 to 20 feet wide, to 10 to 30 feet high. And I'm gonna let it grow as big as it would like to grow. And that's exactly my plan for all of my fruit trees. I know it's controversial for other people. Many people like to grow the fruits to their levels, but I really want to enjoy also then the canopy that it will give me then, to put then a little tiny chair in the bottom with a tiny table, and I can actually eat underneath it, share also then the fruits also then with nature. There's lots of bees that come over here, there's lots of then raccoons and all kinds of animals that like to eat our fruits. Go ahead, go crazy, eat all you want. We were focusing the most for the past 4 years on establishing the tree, growing the tree. Now it's doing great. So now our focus is going to be then in propagation. So in another video, I will share with you guys how we have been propagating the tree. Anyways, it's going to be really awesome. I hope that you get lots of tips and tricks from this video, that you learn something new from the figs, and that you also get to grow your own fig tree back at home, and that it survives and does fantastic. Let me know in the comment section down below how is it going with your fig tree, and also the recipes that you like to do, because as I mentioned, there's lots of recipes that I'm trying out and I'm definitely want to share with you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being part of our amazingly kind community. You are all amazing. You're so wonderful. I'll see you again in the next video. Take care, enjoy the day, and enjoy the miracles. Bye.